Imagine sending a message into the vast emptiness of space, a carefully encoded signal containing the sum of human knowledge, mathematics, music, even images of our planet, our DNA, our civilization. Now, imagine that after years of waiting, a reply comes back. Not a word, not a language, not a recognizable sound, but a pattern, a series of signals so precise, so complex, that it could not have arisen from any natural cosmic process we know. What would that mean for us? How would our brains, shaped by millions of years of evolution to interpret the known world, respond to the utterly unknown? This is the paradox scientists have confronted in the field of active SETI, or messaging to extraterrestrial intelligence. We are creatures wired to find meaning, to detect patterns, to make sense of signals even in the chaos of noise, and yet here we are, potentially facing a communication that our perception may not be ready to decode. When the first attempts to contact extraterrestrial life were made, researchers relied on radio telescopes, sending streams of prime numbers and binary-coded images toward nearby star systems. The idea was simple: mathematics is universal. If a civilization advanced enough to detect our signals exists, numbers, especially primes, would serve as a common language. But the brain is not a passive receiver. It is an active interpreter. Neuroscientists know that our neural circuits are constantly predicting patterns, filling in gaps, and even hallucinating consistency where none exists. Our perception is a collaborative dance between reality and expectation. Thus, the moment a signal arrived, our brains had to negotiate between comprehension and incomprehension. The first recorded instance that some interpret as a potential reply is famously known as the WOW signal of 1977, detected by the Big Ear radio telescope. A sequence of numbers and letters scrolled on a printout indicated a brief high-intensity radio burst from the Sagittarius constellation. It lasted only 72 seconds. Scientists still debate its origin. Was it a cosmic fluke, a reflection of a satellite, or something else entirely? Regardless, the signal forced a confrontation with the limits of human cognition. How do we interpret a message without context? How do we assign meaning to something completely alien? Here, neuroplasticity becomes a crucial concept. The brain is not a static organ. It is a dynamic network capable of rewiring itself in response to new information. Learning to decode a truly extraterrestrial signal would not just be a matter of algorithmic translation. It would require the brain to expand the boundaries of perception itself. Think of the brain as a complex energy grid, neurons as nodes, and electrical impulses as signals traveling through this network. When confronted with the truly unfamiliar, some circuits may fail, others may reroute, and new connections might emerge to handle the unprecedented. Stress, surprisingly, plays a paradoxical role in this process. Acute stress in controlled doses enhances neural plasticity, focusing attention and sharpening perception. In evolutionary terms, our ancestors benefited from this. When faced with unknown threats, heightened awareness increased survival chances. Now imagine applying that principle to the cosmic scale. Encountering an alien signal is akin to an extreme cognitive stressor, a stimulus so outside the range of ordinary experience that it challenges the foundational assumptions of reality. Our minds must adapt or risk misinterpretation. Yet adaptation is not uniform. Cognitive biases can interfere. Pareidolia, the tendency to perceive familiar patterns where none exist, can lead scientists and the public alike to see faces, voices, or intent in a sequence of abstract data. At the same time, confirmation bias may cause observers to selectively interpret ambiguous signals as evidence supporting pre-existing beliefs. Neuroscience teaches us that our perception is not merely passive reception, but active construction. Every interpretation of an alien message is filtered through layers of expectation, memory, and cultural context. This raises philosophical questions. If a truly alien intelligence replies, but our minds cannot comprehend it, does communication truly occur? Are we even capable of universal understanding? Or are our cognitive architectures fundamentally limited to the terrestrial experience? Here is where quantum metaphors provide an illuminating lens. In quantum physics, the act of observation collapses a spectrum of probabilities into a single reality. Similarly, in human cognition, the act of perception collapses the vast potential of interpretation into a singular experience. The alien signal exists in a superposition of meanings until observed by a brain capable of interpreting it. If our neural circuits are unprepared, the signal may collapse into noise, lost to our perception entirely. Biology, too, reminds us of humility. Evolution equips organisms with tools sufficient for survival, not necessarily for ultimate understanding. The brain evolved to navigate a world of objects, predators, and social interactions. Cosmic communication is far beyond that ancestral context. Yet this is not a limit, but a possibility. Our species has repeatedly expanded its perceptual horizons. Telescopes reveal galaxies millions of light years away. Microscopes uncover worlds invisible to the naked eye, and mathematics allows us to predict phenomena that transcend intuition. Engaging with an alien message could be the next leap, forcing the mind to rewire itself in ways unimaginable, creating new perceptual axes that blend logic, intuition, and pattern recognition. Psychologically, the implications are profound. Consider the concept of the overview effect experienced by astronauts. Seeing Earth from space induces a cognitive shift, a restructuring of priorities, a feeling of unity and interconnectedness. Similarly, receiving a verified signal from extraterrestrial intelligence could trigger a collective neurocognitive effect, reshaping human self-conception. Our species is wired to respond to novelty with both fear and curiosity. The initial encounter might evoke existential anxiety, akin to looking into a mirror reflecting the unknown. Neuroscientists suggest that the amygdala, responsible for processing threats, would activate, heightening vigilance. Yet concurrently, the prefrontal cortex would engage in analytical interpretation, seeking patterns and possible meanings. This duality reflects a fundamental principle. The brain is simultaneously a survival organ and a seeker of knowledge. Philosophically, the encounter challenges anthropocentrism. Humanity has long assumed a central role in the cosmic narrative, often unconsciously. The discovery of another intelligence, especially one capable of responding to our outreach, forces a reevaluation of that assumption. The brain as adaptation to such a paradigm shift would involve recalibrating not only perception, but also identity, ethics, and imagination. In practical terms, scientists are already exploring frameworks for decoding potential alien messages. Information theory, signal processing, and semiotics are being combined with insights from neuroscience to predict which aspects of a message might be universally comprehensible. For instance, sequences based on prime numbers or the Fibonacci series are mathematically distinct and less likely to be confused with natural phenomena. Yet even with such precautions, the human mind may struggle with interpretation. Perception is inherently context-dependent. What looks like chaos to one neural configuration might reveal structure to another, suggesting that multiple brains or even distributed networks of eye may be required to unlock the meaning of a signal. This introduces a meta layer. We are not merely passive recipients, but co-creators of understanding. The act of interpretation shapes the reality of the communication itself. In essence, communication is relational. Without a mind capable of decoding, the message remains dormant, a potential that never actualizes. Here lies a subtle but critical twist. The very moments we perceive as weakness, confusion, or inability may be protective mechanisms of the brain. When confronted with signals far beyond comprehension, neural circuits may downregulate certain cognitive pathways to prevent overload, a phenomenon related to cognitive inhibition. This is not failure. It is adaptation. Our brain is safeguarding the integrity of the system, ensuring that exposure to alien complexity does not destabilize neural function. Evolutionary biology offers parallels. Animals often freeze or retreat when encountering threats too complex to immediately evaluate. These behaviors are not signs of fragility, but sophisticated survival strategies. Similarly, when our neural systems resist understanding the incomprehensible, they are exercising a form of cognitive prudence. Neuroplasticity ensures that, given time and incremental exposure, comprehension can expand. Repeated exposure to complex stimuli, combined with active engagement, encourage the growth of new synapses, the strengthening of neural pathways, and the refinement of perceptual frameworks. In other words, the alien message may initially seem indecipherable, but the brain is inherently capable of stretching to accommodate it. This brings us to the philosophical dimension. Intelligence, whether human or extraterrestrial, may be measured not by immediate comprehension, but by the capacity for adaptation. What appears alien or incomprehensible today may become the foundation for tomorrow's cognitive evolution. The energy of thought, after all, is a form of information transfer. Our brains, as intricate networks, operate by receiving, transmitting, and processing signals. To decode an extraterrestrial signal is to expand the bandwidth of that network, to create new nodes of perception capable of integrating alien logic with human experience. There is also a psychological paradox embedded in expectation. We anticipate alien intelligence to be like us, logical, communicative, perhaps even benevolent. Yet evolution teaches that adaptation does not always follow expectation. Intelligence elsewhere might be utterly alien, structured in ways we cannot predict, perceiving dimensions or modalities beyond human senses. The challenge is not merely technical but existential. To stretch the mind beyond anthropocentric models, to train perception to accept non-human logic, and to embrace ambiguity as a conduit for knowledge rather than a source of fear. Cognitive scientists highlight the role of pattern recognition in survival. Humans excel at detecting correlations, inferring causation, and predicting outcomes. However, these strengths can become liabilities when faced with truly alien systems. The brain may perceive meaning where none exists or overlook meaning that is entirely unfamiliar. Understanding the signal requires a metacognitive strategy, observing not just the message but the process by which we attempt to interpret it. This recursive awareness, akin to reflecting on thought itself, may be humanity's most potent tool in cosmic communication. In a sense, decoding an alien message is less about translation and more about transformation. The human mind must expand, rewiring expectations, recalibrating perceptual filters, and cultivating tolerance for ambiguity. This is neuroplasticity at the frontier of cognition. Just as infants learn to perceive the world through experience, humanity may need a collective developmental period to grasp intelligence that evolved in a completely different environment. And there is hope embedded in our biology. The human brain thrives on novelty, stimulation, and challenge. Cognitive science demonstrates that engaging with complex, unfamiliar patterns enhances memory, creativity, and problem-solving. Exposure to an alien message, rather than being a threat, could catalyze unprecedented cognitive growth. Philosophically, this reframes the encounter. It is not merely a search for extraterrestrial life, but a journey into the limits of human potential. In confronting the utterly alien, we confront the untapped capabilities of our own minds. The process mirrors the neurological principle of synaptic pruning, where the brain removes redundant connections to strengthen efficiency. In absorbing complexity, we refine cognition, focusing on meaningful pathways and integrating new dimensions of understanding. Each signal, each pattern, each unexpected twist in the data is a stimulus for cognitive evolution. At the societal level, the implications are equally profound. A verified extraterrestrial communication would challenge cultural narratives, political frameworks, and collective self-image. The shared experience of interpreting the unknown could foster global cooperation as humanity collectively negotiates meaning, ethics, and action. Our perception of self and other, of life and intelligence, would expand beyond the earthbound horizon. Yet the encounter also reminds us of humility. As powerful as human cognition is, it is limited. Our sensory apparatus, evolved for survival on a single planet, filters vast swaths of potential information. Even as technology extends our perception, the brain remains the ultimate interpreter, and its architecture imposes constraints. Recognizing these limits is not defeat but enlightenment. The greatest challenge may not be the alien intelligence itself, but our readiness to perceive, understand, and integrate its message. Herein lies the final, transformative insight. Vulnerability, uncertainty, and confusion are not obstacles but gateways. When the brain encounters the truly alien, initial disorientation is a protective, adaptive response. Over time, guided by curiosity, rigor, and repeated engagement, comprehension emerges, reshaping both cognition and consciousness. The universe is not a static backdrop but an active interlocutor, inviting us to expand the boundaries of thought. To ask whether we are alone is to ask whether we are capable of growth, of connection, of perceiving beyond the familiar. The alien signal is both question and answer, mirror and key. It challenges the architecture of perception, stretches neuroplastic potential, and reframes the narrative of human significance. In reflecting on this, we glimpse a profound truth. Intelligence is not merely measured by knowledge accumulated, but by the capacity to adapt, to perceive, and to embrace the unknown. The act of listening, decoding, and understanding becomes a philosophical exercise as much as a scientific one. It is a journey into the self as much as into the cosmos. So, what would you do if a signal arrived tomorrow? How would your brain respond to information entirely outside experience, a message that defies expectation and challenges comprehension? Could you adapt, perceive, and grow? The questions are as significant as the answers. They invite us not only to imagine extraterrestrial life but to explore the frontiers of human cognition. To wonder, to question, to stretch the mind beyond terrestrial limits is itself a form of cosmic communication. In the end, the search for alien intelligence is inseparable from the search for human potential. Every signal, every pattern, every unexplained anomaly is an invitation to expand perception, to refine thought, and to embrace the mystery. The act of listening is as vital as the act of sending. The cosmos is not silent. It has always been communicating, and our challenge is to learn the language. The next time you gaze at the stars, consider the possibility that somewhere, something is listening, just as we are. That the universe may respond in ways we cannot yet comprehend. And in doing so, it may illuminate the hidden capacities of our own minds. Understanding, adaptation, and the courage to face the unknown are not abstract ideals. They are embedded in our neural architecture, waiting to be awakened. If this journey of thought has sparked curiosity, pause and reflect. What signals are waiting for you to perceive, not only in the cosmos but within your own mind? Share your thoughts in the comments, like the video if it expanded your perspective, and subscribe to MindSpark Science for more explorations that bridge neuroscience, psychology, quantum thought, and the philosophical frontiers of human understanding.